And hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Rookieville podcast presented by Ballsville. Glad to have you guys all back for our episode 2 of our mini series. I am your host, JoJo, joined again by my boy, Tennessee Nick.
How's it going? Good to see you
tonight,
again.
bud? How you feeling tonight?
Doing good. I'm getting stoked for the combine to start on. I think Friday is going to be tight ends, defensive backs, so it should be good to watch. I'm excited. But today I know we're going to be talking about running backs, and there's a lot to cover in this upcoming draft.
Indeed, man. It's time for the RB class. I think it's kind of underrated, I believe. I think that a lot of people are giving a lot of pub to how deep the wide receiver class is, and we'll get to that shortly. But I like some of these guys. I mean, they're definitely a lot of common threads here, like the certain archetype of some of these backs. So we'll get into that as well. But we'll get right into it. And I think the name on everyone's 101 or maybe even 102, depending if you have a quarterback need, will be Jeremiah Love. And there's a lot to love about this guy.
Pun intended.
Pun intended there. But I'll let you lead off, man. It's Notre Dame. He's been there for a few years. Want to hear what you love about him, and we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I mean, he's pretty much most definitely the 1.1. Again, if you need quarterback depth, I guess you could take Mendoza there, but it's pretty guaranteed he's the 1.1. He's a really dual threat running back. Kind of reminds me of Bijan and Gibbs a little bit in that regard. He has that Kamara pass catching ability as well. Yeah, I mean, the tape speaks for itself. This guy, I think he's going to bulk up after he gets drafted somewhere. So he should be more of a bruising running back. But I think he needs to slow down on the hurdles, and I think sometimes he just needs to lower his shoulder a little bit. But what do you have to say about him, JoJo?
No, I'd love that. I'll just comment a little bit on that hurdling, because I think he even said in some press conferences that he is trying to avoid it or curb back on the hurdling, but the guy's so elusive and athletic, and sometimes it's the way to get away from the defenders, right? Whether avoiding tackles in that way or just again, it's just who he is. But that's obviously susceptible to injury by landing wrong. Maybe another person hits him on the way down. Some more that could just make him get time off the field. I mean, we don't want to see that. But like you said, he's an explosive open field runner, very Gibbs-like in that regard. I think he's more elusive than what's the word? I guess tackle breaking is just kind of very slippery, very good hips, and then just a natural receiver out of the backfield. Like you comment on Kamara, I had the same comp, but a couple other notes to I had about 5 different comps on different parts of his game. I quoted you again on the Gibbs on acceleration, elusiveness like Reggie Bush, between the tackles like DeMarco Murray, but a full-on physical comparison and just kind of also model his game a little bit is Shady McCoy. So if you kind of want to get that kind of mental visual there. Couple games to note, the USC games, the last 2 years, he dominated the Trojans in those rivalry games, set the single game rush record in that regard. Boston College, I see even your notes here, also had a couple 90-plus yard rushes. He had 290 yards in that game. So if you want to see the home run threat, that's a good one. But my bottom line is he's really in a tier of his own in this class. He's the bottom line best player, best overall player, and you won't go wrong in that regard there.
Yeah, he can make like simple screen passes go for 50, 60 yards. It's pretty insane. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So
we do have to note on a couple negatives though, right? Because he's not the perfect prospect. So we did note on the hurdling, that's a negative, like excessive hurdling. And he's not a 220 plus pound beast like some of these other backs that we're going to get into. But his pass protection is still developing. So that the only reason why that's a negative, because I mean, obviously we don't care if they're on the field for pass pro, it doesn't help us for fantasy, but that just means limited time off the field. So there might be other snaps going to other backs. That's the only other thing. That's it.
Yeah. The only other thing I could really touch on is I guess he cuts outside a little bit too early.
Okay, that's good. That's a good.
Which I think will be kind of a struggle in the NFL. So yeah, hopefully he bulks up a little bit and he's not afraid for those inside runs. But I think he's in a standalone tier of his own, kind of like Bijan was in his class. So yeah, moving on to the next guy. We got Jonah Coleman, running back out of Washington.
Yeah, I mean, some people might have him as RB2. Some people might have him as RB3, maybe even RB4. But for me, he's the RB3 of the class, and he does have potential to move up to RB2, in my opinion, depending on how he tests, and then just see how the scouts kind of are feeling him throughout the rest of the draft process, right? So I like him as a big punishing back. There was one play that really stood out to me in tape, and it was the Iowa game. The way how patient he was at the line of scrimmage, he took a couple steps forward, and then he just put his foot in the ground, the jump cut to the right, and then a little bit inside, and then bounced it all the way out and scored it, took it to the house. That play sticks in my mind like no other, because he is a bigger guy, almost 230 here, and he is so quick and shifty. I think even a kind of Kenneth Walker like. I didn't even have that comp here, but it's what Kenneth Walker did in the Super Bowl. There was a lot of that in there, but I have him to D'Lo Williams, Doug Martin. A lot of people are calling him to MJD. I don't think he's quite the big bruiser like that, because I don't think he plays like the 230 that he is. He doesn't punish people in that regard like MJD did. But Arian Foster is another one, just because of how fluid he is at his size.
Yeah,
Arian Foster was so big and he was so smooth. This is that kind of a back. Go ahead.
Yeah, for his size, I mean 5'9", he's he just gets going, and with that 229 pounds, if that guy's running at you full speed, you better hope to take him to the ground. But I had a comp for him just mainly based on size. I know my comp is 3 inches smaller, but he almost reminds me of Darren Sproles in a way. Just a total fearless back. I think he gets the job done. He's really good on the outside, good on the inside. Kind of unlike Jeremiah Love, how I said he was. He kind of cut outside too fast. How you hinted on, he kind of like waits for the blocks to develop and then kind of runs where the blocks are going or where they will be going. So I guess that's a good comp for him. But yeah, I think he's the RB3 of the draft. But I see him probably climbing up to my rankings. I would probably feel comfortable taking him 1.11 or 1.12.
Yeah, I think he's also profiled both that size as a two down back, but he could, because he can catch the ball. He has a great receiving profile, so he can definitely be a 3 down back. It kind of that depends on landing spot. So, like, let me ask you this then: out of the RB needy teams out there in the NFL, I got Arizona, Denver, Houston, Minnesota, the New York Jets, and Kansas City. Although Kansas City's picking the top 10, they might take a look at Jeremiah Love if they don't get one in free agency. But who do you think he kind of fits well with his running style than maybe the team fit there?
I would have said like a year ago or two, I would have said he would have been a good fit in LA for the Chargers, because he kind of reminds me of Eckler in a way, because he's a yak beast.
Gotcha.
But in that regard, I think he'd make a good commander next year, depending on what they want to do.
They're definitely a needy team, dude, for sure. I didn't even have them down, but yeah, they are a needy team. I mean, they seem to like Bill Merritt, but he's a 7th rounder, so they're not committed to him by any means. And obviously, what happened to Eckler. So yeah, that's definitely a good slot there for him.
Yeah, I think the Cardinals will work too. But I'm still sold on Benson. I'm not sure what the Cardinals are thinking though, and I know Connor's not getting any younger.
There you go. Exactly. The couple of little notes I hear is red flags, if you will. He's not a true breakaway burner like the way Jeremiah Love is, that true second gear when he gets to the second and third levels. He has limited explosive runs, but this is nitpicking, really, to be honest with you. But any other things to watch or look out for, maybe red flags?
Yeah, I mean, you hinted on it. He's mainly like, just like a run and get the first down kind of guy. He has the potential to break for longer runs, but he's mainly on the field for the short to mid range yard gains.
Gotcha. And then if you guys, aside from that Iowa game, I see the Ohio State game against elite talent. They lost quite by a pretty decent margin, but in that game, he was probably the best player on the field on Washington. So he popped out, did really well in that game too. So we want to turn on that one.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's move on to the next guy. I believe, it's Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska. Now this guy's
you start us off here.
All right. Yeah, he's a beast. So he had about like 1,300 plus yards and like 340 receiving yards. He's a beast. He kind of got the workload that Genty had last year at Boise State, or I guess 2 years ago now. So I guess that's my only worry about him, but it proves he could get it done, aerial and running as well. But yeah, he had about 221 rushes, so I guess that's kind of my flaw, but it's not really a flaw. I mean, he's on the field for a reason because he gets the job done. But yeah, I think this is the clear RB2 of the draft. What do you think, Joe?
Oh, RB2 for you. Got it.
Yep.
I am looking at him as my RB5.
Mhm.
Only because I guess my biggest red flags for him, his size is a little bit concerning. I know he hit the 200-pound threshold. I think that's like a lot of analysts look at that as being like at least you're 200 pounds, you can withstand the pounding of the NFL. But he's not a really true between the tackles guy, so I think he's more limited that way. He has a great receiving profile, probably the best receiving profile out of the RB class this year. I comped him to, we just kind of talked to him about Austin Eckler. I kind of have him at that regard as more of his ceiling. His more base, though, to me is Rachaad White or Justice Hill. He did get a lot of work at Nebraska, but then again, it was Nebraska. There was numerous games where he got 20-plus carries, and I don't think that's going to be the kind of workload he'll get in the NFL. But who knows? He could prove me wrong. There was a few games that popped out to me, too. The UCLA game, he dominated the entire game. I watched that one live because it's one of the later games here on the West Coast, 7 o'clock, 7:30. And he dominated from beginning to end. 3 total touchdowns, 2 in the receiving game. It was a 100-100 game, so he had 100 yards rushing and 100 yards receiving. So you want to just watch true domination, just flip on the tape for that. But he's definitely ready for the NFL. He's pass game ready, and that's what we look for in fantasy because he could be a PPR guy from the get-go. So I get where you see him as an RB2 because of that. But I just don't know if he's going to go to the landing spot that will give him that full opportunity out the gate. That's my biggest worry.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all dependent and variable on where they draft. Hopefully he has a really good combine because the stats speak for itself. I know another game to mention was that USC game. He had about 165 yards. I believe a touchdown or 2. Granted, he had 29 carries, but that's still
that's a lot of work. He had a lot of tread on his tires in this last year. The Wisconsin game stuck out to me too because if you want to watch just another receiving game where he was just not scoring on every play, seeming like the UCLA game. Wisconsin, he had a 100-yard rushing game, but he also had 6 receptions for 85 yards. So another way where you can see him out of the backfield and kind of watch how he works. Yeah,
so maybe I mean in the redraft, maybe in the later rounds, but dynasty, he's definitely the asset you want to have because I know the cream of the crop is those dual threat running backs, and it seems like that's the new step the NFL is going in. And the scouts love a running back who could also catch the ball and is a productive receiver.
One other red flag is I noticed that he runs a bit too high for his size too. I mean, so he's 5'11", so he's close to 6 feet tall and a slimmer frame. So if he gets popped, he could get put right on his back, and who knows from there, maybe not running as I just worry about running up too high. That kind of worries me a little bit with the tackling and the pounding in the NFL.
Yeah, definitely the workload is something to watch out for. But yeah, I think his stats are incredible. But let's there for sure. Yeah, let's move on to the next guy. We have Jardarian Price, our first of 3, as we call it. There's 3 running back duos we have in this list. We'll surprise it, but I'm sure you guys have the guesses. But yeah, I think this guy, he's a really good inside runner. He could scramble or he could break free and do those longer rushes, but he's mainly an inside guy. And if you guys watch his tape after watching the video, you could see that he was on the field a lot, and he took away playing time from Jeremiah Love, which I mean that alone should tell you that he has merit to be drafted.
Definitely, it speaks to his talent, right? And yeah, taking some snaps and work away from the top guy in the draft is something just to really note. He could have started in most places in the country, I would assume, and be the RB1. And who knows, maybe the production profile would be a lot more glamorous at this stage of the scouting season, if you will. And I think he can handle pass game. I just don't think he was asked to do it. So a lot of people will be out there to be touting the fact that I don't know about his receiving work. I mean, well, and again, I'm not saying he's Jonathan Taylor, but Jonathan Taylor was never really asked to do any receiving work at Wisconsin, right? I'm trying to think of other ones from the top of my head. I really can't think of any other ones like that, but it doesn't mean they can't do it. Oh, Kenneth Walker at Michigan State. He wasn't really asked to do it. And look at him now. I mean, when he's given the opportunity, he can catch 3 to 4 balls a game if he has the full workload. So he has a strong frame, 5'10", 210. He doesn't really have the long speed like Jeremiah Love, but I still think he can run between the tackles really well and be serviceable and a good complement to our RB backfield. The USC game, he had a return TD plus 87 and a score in that game. I really think that he showed a lot of flashes in the receiving ability in the Stanford game. So if you want to watch that game to see if he has that knack for the passing game, that'll be a good one as well. I think bottom line is that he does showcase the playmaking ability, but there's still a lot of question marks with him because the production profile is not as prevalent as the other backs in this class.
Yeah. So I mainly see him as an RB2 or like if you guys want to draft the handcuff, which I like drafting handcuffs. If the RB1 goes down, you get an RB1 right off the bat, and I think he fits the mold really well. I would like to see him at the combine, see what he could do catching the ball. I know he can catch. Yeah, I'd probably say like Tyler Algier or even like a Bucky Irving. I know catch-wise, he didn't catch the ball much, but he still had some yardage, so I kind of comp him to Genty in that regard. He's a bruising running back, and if he has a good quarterback to throw to, and if they run like those short yard schemes for him, I think he could really do some work. I think Bucky and Algier and even Genty is a good comp. What about you?
Do you I'll get to that. Do you think he God, I lost my train of thought there. Do you think he's like more, or I guess, where is he at on your RB list then? Because you said you had Emmett Johnson RB2, you had Jonah Coleman RB3. Where is he at for you?
I think I'd probably put him like RB6. I mean, this class, people might not think it's deep, but I think it's pretty deep. And RB6 it's not bad. Dynasty wise, I'd probably say that's a little bit better than redraft. I know redraft rookies don't go unless you're like Jeremiah Love going in the 4th or early 5th. I wouldn't draft this guy until like maybe like the 16th or something if your drafts are that deep. But
I'm going to pull up Ballsville's Sticky's tools here.
Yeah,
I think he's going RB2, RB3 in most mini league games right now.
Oh, wow.
So you disagree with that?
Yeah, I mean for best ball, I would. Yeah, for best ball, I would. It's not a bad pick. It's all variable. Ranking these rookies at this time. Granted, it's before the combine, before the draft, so everything's kind of up in the air. So
it's anyone's guess.
Yep. Take whatever I say with a grain of salt, guys.
Got you. Because we're actually right now, I'm pulling out Sticky's tools. By the way, shout out to Sticky.
Yeah.
So right now, Jonah Coleman's going 906, and then we have JD Price going at 1207. So he is the RB3 in that regard there. But I comp him to Tyler Algier, like you did. Blake Corum a little bit as well. And Javonte Williams as more of a ceiling comp based on what Javonte did this year. He's a similar build and does a little bit of both receiving and a pretty big frame and does some really hard running there too. So those are my comps. Let's keep you moving though.
Nice. Yeah. Next we got Katron Allen. So I'm really excited about this guy. But I'll save my excitement. You want to start it off?
Sure. I mean, I'm excited about this guy too. He's my RB4. RB4, a little higher than his teammate, even though Nick Singleton is a pretty good player as well. But Katron Allen, 5'11", 230, another big back here, big bruiser. He's the kind of the move the pile guy. Bring the lunch pail to work and get the job done. Really dirty work here. He is a reliable receiver for his size in some of the limited production that he's given in there. But one of the games I did see, he showed some pretty soft hands for his size and can move the body that well. Consistent chain mover. So I think he's profiling as a 2-down back right now or short yardage situations for a team. So for the PPR stuff, maybe depending on the landing spot, if given the opportunity. but I think you'll still see the field in some of those short yardage situations. I comped him to Kareem Hunt, to David Montgomery types. If you want to go to more of a ceiling, I think Josh Jacobs is a pretty good comp to him. Similar body, similar build, and then just does a lot of the. He's as big as he is. He has really soft hands out of the backfield, and obviously he converts touchdowns too. So I think that's my comp.
Yeah, I'm super high on Katron Allen. I think he was definitely the best running back last year at Penn State. His junior year was really good as well. But yeah, he's a big bruising or running back. For his weight 229, you wouldn't guess it if you saw this guy run. He could just take off. He's really like a bowling ball. He can't be stopped. And if you guys watch his tape after this, you see that he makes some really spectacular catches as well. So he's a real dual threat running back, which I know that's really sought after in the league. I think my one weakness for Katron Allen is he kind of lacks the ability to make those big plays. While he can, I mean, any running back can break off for 50, 60 yards. He's more of just the go get the first down, kind of like red zone, third down back guy. So I think a good comp, I think this guy's a little bit faster, but my good comp for him would be like a Sean Tucker. He really got involved in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running game, especially when they are in the red zone. So I kind of see him stealing touchdowns and productivity from the RB1. From the RB1 or RB2 he's behind. But I think if he shows out and plays, he could easily steal an RB1 role towards the end of the season.
Yeah, I think that's I can see him in like speaking of Washington, I think that would be a good landing spot for him, or even Denver, because they're kind of looking, because if they're not going to sign Dobbins, I think he's a good complement to an RJ Harvey in that kind of thunder and lightning type situation there. So I think that's a potentially good landing spot. Also, some of my red flags too. Just his explosiveness is there, but he's not elite in that regard, like the other explosive backs that we have, or you mentioned like Jonah Coleman, or even or obviously Jeremiah Love. The couple games of note is the Indiana, but in 2022, because he was a freshman at the time. He broke on the scene as 3 touchdowns. So if you want to see him from an early breakout age, go ahead, turn on the Indiana 2022 stuff. Michigan State, he had and this was this past year, 181 yards and 2 touchdowns, and just efficient from beginning to end there. So those are a couple games to note.
Yeah, he played really good against Oregon too in that nail biter loss. But yeah, it's
yeah, for sure.
He's had consistent productivity at Penn State over the last 2 years, and it's almost surprising. This is our transition to the next guy, his duo, and I'm sure we got a lot to say about Singleton. So I think Singleton's 2024 year was definitely better than this last year. He got about 49 less carries, and he got 550 less yards. To me, I know Penn State was in shambles, but that's kind of crazy. A little food for thought. Katron Allen only had like 200 less. Actually, I think he had 200 more rushing yards than he did in 24. But this guy, he's still a really great running back. I think he needs to perform at the combine to kind of get some of that draft stock back, because I know scouts are probably seeing that stat dip and probably are like, hey, what's going on? I mean, I know Penn State, kind of similar to LSU, they had the coaching fire mid-season. So that was really rough. But yeah, I think he's a really explosive running back. He has good speed, good hands. He's a dual threat. So I definitely think he should have declared last year. So he took a gamble and stayed in school, and that kind of gamble didn't necessarily pay off for him.
I mean, I think that they both stayed in school because, they went to the CFP and they got pretty close. Drew Aller stayed also. They kind of tried to do what Ohio State did the year prior to that, right? Because Ohio State had all their veterans, so to speak, seniors stay in for another year, and they won the championship. So they try to replicate, be a copycat in that regard. I don't know for certain. It just seemed that way because everyone else was an upperclassman this year for Penn State. But like you said, sometimes it doesn't pay off. Didn't for him, didn't for the team. Obviously, when you lose your star quarterback, it's pretty an uphill battle there. But he definitely has rare explosiveness for his build. Um, I think the 195 is a little light. I don't know if I buy that.
Yeah.
I think he was over 200 to be honest with you. But again, this is player profiler. It's usually pretty on point. But I thought he was a little bit bigger than that. He's improved as a receiver over the course of the year. He broke on as also a freshman, so that's why these two pretty much stayed the entire time, and they were just a dynamic duo throughout college. He kind of profiles to me as like a Lamar Miller. If you remember Lamar Miller, or even another Penn State guy, not Saquon, but Miles Sanders as a kind of a floor comp. He also did break his foot. He's not going to be testing. He didn't play at the Senior Bowl and anything like that, so he's not going to test. But if he did, he's the more athletic of the two between him and Katron, and I think he would have improved his stock if he were able to test as well. I think his ceiling comp for me is kind of like a couple-year wonder, David Johnson. I think he's kind of that guy that does a little bit of both, very explosive, and his true ceiling, I think, is a JT. If you really watch him run down the sideline, I just watch. I see JT when he runs. So I love those. The Rose Bowl game in 2023 was a highlight game, and also referencing the CFP against Notre Dame, same game where Jeremiah Love had that viral TD where he bounced off everyone and continued to keep pushing and score that touchdown. Singleton also had a great game. I think he had 2 touchdowns in that game.
Yeah, I think he's I think he's definitely a good option for Dynasty. It's curious. Hopefully his ankle heals up. I'm not sure if he will be at the combine or not. He's not. Oh, no. Okay.
I will say, like, if he has a good pro day, because I think he's going to try to get ready for pro day. If he has a good pro day and the scouts start drooling over him, I think you'll see his cost kind of improve in the draft process. But right now he's a value. I mean, so if you love him, this is mini leagues. We're way too early best ball. You're looking for maybe an RB. I wouldn't say RB3, but maybe at least RB4, depending on what you draft in those mid later rounds, 15 and later. I think he's definitely there. He could be a big value for you.
And while his stats, like his rushing and his carries dropped in last year in 25 for Penn State, his touchdowns actually went up. He had one more touchdown. I believe he had 12 rushing touchdowns in 24, and he had 13 last year, which I mean, he's still on the field scoring touchdowns. So that's definitely something you want to note at in the best ball if you want to draft him there.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we kind of wanted to wrap this up around 30 minutes, but because there's so many players to go through. But you know what? I still want to go through at least another name or two if you don't mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So the next guy we have is Adam Randall, running back out of Clemson. Why don't you lead this one off, JoJo?
I mean, the size of this guy is just jumps off the page. 6'2", 235. I think based on the fact that he was a converted wide receiver to running back, the first person that when I saw the measurables here was CPAT, Cardell Patterson, right? Obviously, you can also look at like an Antonio Gibson, who was another converted wide receiver. Who am I thinking? Ty Montgomery, another guy. He kind of profiles like that kind of a person, player for an NFL team. Obviously, the natural receiving ability is evident and there. So PPR, he fits that mold there. So he's going to be a late pick right now in way too early best ball. I think if you're just kind of trying to round out your RB room, I think he's a good shot to take a flyer on right now. He's not a true between the tackles guy because he's still learning the position, but not to say that he can be a productive guy like CPAT has been in fantasy or Ty Montgomery for short stints of time where he might be relied upon. So he's a scheme-driven weapon right now. An offensive weapon, I think, is the best position to kind of classify him as.
Oh, most definitely. Yeah, I think a good comp I have for him is actually Tyrone Tracy. I know he converted from wide receiver to running back. I believe before ESPN had those like sounds going off. I was looking at the stats. He had like 800 some yards running and a little over 200 yards receiving. So he has potential there as a dual threat running back. And yeah, just looking at his measurements, 6'2", 235. I almost see a little bit of Peyton Hillis in him. He's a bowling ball, and he could catch the ball, which is it's really rare for somebody of that build to.
We'll see if he can match like the with some of these backs that are this big, and sometimes they don't run behind their pads as much because they have a tendency to bounce out wide. Like Nick Singleton also tends to do as well, or Jonah Coleman kind of tends to do. We'll see if he can really be that bruiser like his weight suggests. That's the only big other red flag there. keep moving.
All right. Heck yeah. So next we got Roman
All
Hemby.
right.
I
This is
know.
the third duo. If you guys,
Yep.
we had two Penn State guys, two Notre Dame guys, and the two Indiana backs. Fresh off their championship run, Roman
Mhm.
Hemby and Kalen Black. They are pretty much just identical player profiles. They're both around a little over 200 pounds, compact, but they're also very power runners. This kind of like, I guess, the NFL comp to both of these guys is kind of like what you get of Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, because they're very interchangeable in what they do.
Mhm.
Not Maybe they'll be that in the future, but I just think that was like a comp of what they were in college and see how they can profile in the NFL. I comp him to Rico Dowdle, though,
Mhm.
Kenny Gainwell, or an Aaron Jones type. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm probably need a drink of water here, but he has a legit receiving resume in
Mhm.
college, primarily though in this past year. Good contact balance, um, and I think he's a safe for a possibly like a 3 down back in the
Mhm.
NFL. But it depends on his draft capital, though. If he's a day 3 back, I don't know if we could pay too much attention to that. But I think he's a solid prospect in the grand scheme of things here.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's crazy if you watch IU tape from last year. Roman Hemby um, and Black, they really kind of complemented each other, and it was almost like they're almost like clones of each other. They're very similar, but yeah, dual threat guys, third down. So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of red zone productivity there. Probably just primarily third down backs, and then the red zone stealing touchdowns like a Sean Tucker would. But yeah, I see Rico Dowdle in him. And then yeah,
Let's keep it moving. Yeah.
to get into Kalen Black. Yeah, so this is another guy. He kind of stole the show in the CFP. He really stepped up for IU. Very similar to Hemby. He could get outside, go in the middle, and he's a bruiser, 5'10", 208. I think he just needs to size up a little bit, maybe get up to like 220 after the combine or whatnot. And I think he get, I think he could get a good landing spot. What do you think, JoJo?
Excuse me. Sorry. No, I agree. He was the one that popped more than more of the two in the
Mhm.
CFP, especially. So when down crunch time, he was the back that popped, in my opinion. Kind of like Katron Allen over Singleton. Um, also a short, compact guy. He limits some breakaway speed, just kind of like Hemby. They're not the true home run threats.
Mhm.
I also think that his ceiling is tied to volume. So that's another red flag. So again, it depends on landing spot. A lot of these guys. So we'll be touching base on some of these later round guys after
Yeah.
the combine and see how they are progressing through the process.
Mhm.
My comps for him: Colin Munungai, Isaiah Pacheco,
Yep.
because he runs hard. They both do, but he really popped off the tape when how hard he runs. And you
Mhm.
kind of just think of who better than Isaiah Pacheco when you come to putting your feet in the ground and getting some extra yardage, though, is that. So there you go.
Exactly. I think those are great comps as well. I do think one of the weaknesses, I mean, some of us dynasty players play a little differently, but he is the age says 24.3, so he will be at October of this next season or this October, I guess. He will be 25, so take with that what you will. But I know I like my rookie running backs 2021. But I mean, um, if his productivity shines, I think he'll be a good asset for at least 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, if you get the job done, you get the job done. I guess
Exactly.
maybe you
Yep.
just don't have a long shelf life, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, if you produce, right? So
Exactly.
all right.
All right.
You have one more, or you want to? Okay,
Sure. Yeah. Let's just run through Moss. I know we had a couple guys in the back, but we could showcase them. Maybe if one of them performs well at the combine.
for sure.
Yeah, but Le'Veon Moss, I think he's another good running back. 5'11", 210 out of Texas A&M. He's a guy. He runs primarily inside runs. He could break away. He doesn't shy away from contact. He can
Not
make
at
those
all.
big plays if he needs.
Not at all.
Yeah, I think I like to comp him to somebody kind of like Achan. I know
Really?
late Achan's a little bit lighter than Moss, but
Anyway.
I think the speed is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I because my comps are completely different thing. As I have a Jordan Mason or a James Conner, because I feel like he's that big bruiser. But I mean, I guess when I was watching it back, I mean, there is some fluidity to him. I just don't think he's that home run threat either. He's not that game breaker in that regard, but he's got one incredible stiff arm. If anything, like his stiff arm, I mean, this is lofty, but the way sometimes he puts down defenders were almost Derrick Henry like, but he's not a 245-pound beast like Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
But he runs bigger than his 210 frame. I will say that. So next to kind of Kalen Black, who approaches the game in that hard mentality and move on fighting for extra yardage, he will like to stick his arm out and put your face in the dirt kind of guy too. So powerful downhill brother, great contact balance. He was really exciting to watch. I hope he gets to a good landing spot and really showcases his ability. My fear is that his base comp would be like a Zach Moss, though, who's a powerful runner. He had some flashes, but he never really came to fruition. So like that's a base comp for him. But he's a dog. I think he's a dog. I know C-Bomb would back me up on that because he's a Texas A&M cruiser, but I give him a big shout out. I love watching Le'Veon Moss on tape.
Yep, and I had to shout out Achan because I know he's an Aggie as well.
Oh, it's true. Yeah, you're right. Definitely. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was another guy, Achan, going into when he was in his draft. Very similar in that regard. He wasn't very talked about, and I remember I was pretty high on him in dynasty leagues, and I got him for like a mid second that year, and now he's like probably worth like at least a 1.2 or 1.3.
Yeah, Le'Veon Moss is not even getting drafted in way too early basketball, if at all. Like if he is, it's round 20 or later, right? So if you're taking a flyer on him, you're just kind of getting some exposure where other people are not. But that can be a huge bonus to you if he performs well and scouts start to steam him up and move him up draft boards.
Yeah, I'm getting excited for our first evaluation of these running backs after they perform. Those who do perform after the combine, I'm excited to see who rises and who falls, and I know I'm excited for wide receivers next.
Yeah, so there's a perfect little teaser there. Is we're going to touch on receivers before the end of this week. That's the goal, and then we'll try to take some time to kind of gather what we've watched and what we witnessed, and then just kind of seeing what else is out there by some scouts, because there's a mock draft database out there for you guys too. That's a very public, and everyone still uses that one, but it helps us put together what is kind of like a crowdsourced composite of what the scouts are talking about, what the prospects are going through, and then we just kind of use our own judgment based on that, put our own flair to it, and these are our ranks, not just somewhere you can get some anywhere else. So we're going to probably put together a ranking episode as well, based on what we think, and maybe even a mini draft, if you will. Maybe we bring on another Ballsville member and maybe do like a 3-man draft so we can kind of get prepared for rookie draft season, and go from there, guys.
Yeah, and I know everybody loves a good mock draft. I mean, When I'm on the elliptical, all I really listen to whenever it's football season is rookie mock draft. If that's in a podcast, you got me listening.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, thanks again for watching another episode of the Rookieville podcast. Yep. We will be back very shortly and catch you next time. Thank you.
All right, later, Ballsville.